Are you struggling to make your mortgage payments? Do you feel like foreclosure is right around the corner? You are not alone. There are actually many ways and many options that you can take to be able to save your home. In today's video, we're going to show you proven strategies to help you keep your home. Hi, this is Enrique. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to be discussing ways that you can prevent foreclosure and protect your financial future. Stay tuned. So first things first, what is foreclosure? Foreclosure is where the lender comes in and takes repossession of your home after you've stopped making your mortgage payments. Now this can be a very scary and overwhelming experience, but understanding the process, you'll be able to be confident in your moves to be able to prevent foreclosure. So how does the process look like? Well, first of all, you have to go through the motions. If you have a ton of missed payments, you will have the lender reach out to you to see what options you may have to be able to get your loan up to current. Then you will have the lender issue you a notice of default. And if there's no solution between you and the lender, they will actually file for foreclosure. And at the end, they will have your house listed up on a public auction where it will eventually get sold. So not everyone faces foreclosure the same way. Everybody's situation is different. We are going to identify the different steps so you can take action sooner than later. So the first thing you should do is reach out to your lender as soon as you think you might have issues making your payments. A lot of homeowners are actually very embarrassed or afraid or scared to do this process, but it's very important for you to do it earlier rather than later to be able to open up the communication and figure out a way that you can work with them so that you can prevent to getting further into the foreclosure process. Lenders will have different options that you can take early on. So you want to make sure that you can explain your situation, whether or not you lost a job, you had a medical emergency, you had some financial hardship. The better that you can go ahead and communicate this information with the lender. A lot of these lenders, they have programs in place to allow you to temporarily suspend your payments or to forego paying the mortgage for a certain amount of time altogether. Step number 2 would be to review your mortgage agreement. Make sure that you understand the terms and conditions and your rights and your responsibilities. Look at whether or not there's any penalties or fees or fines for you to making certain mortgage payments late. So that ways, when you do communicate with your lender, you can figure out how you want to go ahead and move forward with them. So step number 3 would be to prioritize your expenses. You want to make sure that during this period, you try to cut out as much as you can when it comes to dining out, entertainment, or other type of non-essential expenses. You want to make sure that the money that you have, you allocate it towards getting your mortgage paid up in full as best as you can. You need to make sure that you find a way to reduce spending as much as you can so that you don't fall behind on your mortgage payments. So what available assistance programs are there for people that are currently going through a foreclosure process? Number 1, you can actually enter some sort of loan modification agreement, whether it be to lower your interest rate for a certain amount of time, an extended loan term, or a reduction in the entire loan balance. These are different options that you may have with your lender after going through a loan modification agreement. This will also help you make your monthly payments more manageable. There's also another thing that you can do called a forbearance agreement, which could temporarily reduce or pause your mortgage payments. This will give you a little bit more breathing room to be able to bring you back on track to make sure you don't fall behind on your mortgage payments. Number 3, you want to make sure to see if there's any government programs available for you. I know that the government, they've actually opened up something called the Home Affordable Modification Program, or there's other assistance programs through FHA or the VA, the Veterans Assistance Program. You may want to reach out to them to find out for more information on how you can actually go ahead and go through these programs and prevent the foreclosure process. There's also a lot of nonprofit housing counseling services that you can reach out to that will help you with these process without having to pay a large amount of money. There's a lot of people out there that will scam you, or they will actually take you to the cleaners to try to help you out with these types of processes. So make sure that you reach out to a reputable nonprofit to be able to help you out. These nonprofits have a lot of resources that they can connect you with so that you don't fall into the foreclosure process. So if modifying your loan is not enough, there's other ways that you can go about to try to prevent your foreclosure process. Number one is to try to refinance your mortgage. Now, right now, we do have record high interest rates, but if for some reason you actually have a higher interest rate and you're able to refinance to a lower interest rate, then that might be a good option for you, but you have to be very careful about doing so. So reach out and find out if that is actually a solution for you. Another option that you may have as a last resort would be to actually sell your property. Now, if you do have some sort of equity, then you can sell the home, prevent foreclosure, and walk away. Now, if for some reason you actually don't have any equity after you sell your property, then you may have to go in through a short sale, but that would be another option for you to be able to get rid of the property and prevent the foreclosure process. And another option that you may have is if you cannot afford to stay in that home and make the monthly mortgage payments, you might be able to rent out a portion of that property, whether or not you have people living inside your home, covering a portion of your mortgage payments, or you can actually rent out the entire property if that's an option, and get enough money from those renters to be able to cover those mortgage payments so that you don't fall behind in foreclosure. You do have another option that you can take, which is the deed in lieu of foreclosure. This is another option that you can take where you would pretty much voluntarily give back the deed to the lender in exchange for them to forgive the loan. Now, this option, it won't have the same impact as a foreclosure, but it does have some other consequences. But it is an option that you can take to be able to get rid of this loan so that you don't fall into the foreclosure process. In some situations, bankruptcy or other legal protection might be able to help you stop the foreclosure process. Filing for bankruptcy under Chapter 13 should be able to temporarily halt foreclosure and help you reorganize your debt and catch up on your payments. On the other hand, if you file Chapter 7 bankruptcy, that may help you eliminate some debts, but that could result in the loss of your home. Now, foreclosure laws, those vary from state to state, so it's very important for you to do your due diligence and find out the state-specific rules where you are living at. Some states may offer more protection than others, and knowing these laws will give you leverage when you're dealing with these lenders. If you are unsure about your legal rights, you may be able to hire a foreclosure attorney. A foreclosure attorney can help you navigate this process. They can give you legal advice, negotiate with your lender, and help you fight against getting into the foreclosure process. Once you've been able to take the steps to be able to avoid the foreclosure process, there's certain things that you can do to avoid falling into this trap again. One of the things that I've talked about on different videos in the past is to make sure that you build an emergency fund. It's very crucial that if you own a home, you have a very, very good emergency fund, because it's not the same when you're renting versus when you actually own a home. Most people online suggest that you have at least 6 months of an emergency fund. My recommendation is you build your way up to try to get to a point where you have at least 18 months, but 6 months is better than nothing. So build it up little by little. Get your emergency fund up, especially if you do own a property or several properties. You also want to make sure that you actually create a realistic budget for your situation. This budget should have some short-term goals and some long-term goals. You want to make sure you stick to that budget and plan accordingly. And also make sure that if you do have a mortgage that's an adjustable rate mortgage, make sure that you know when these interest rate hikes are going to take place so that you can plan accordingly. My recommendation is to stay away from adjustable rate mortgages if it's possible. Always try to get a fixed rate mortgage, either a 15-year or a 30-year, but make sure you try to stick within those limits. But if you are in that situation, make sure that you know exactly what you're getting into so that you can plan ahead so that you don't fall behind. Right now, we're in a situation where there's a lot of people that are sitting in properties that they can barely afford. The United States is also full of a lot of people that have their mortgages paid off. So it's very important that if you are in the situation where you are feeling stressed about making your mortgage payment, that you follow some of the tips in this video. I've had a lot of clients over the last several years, maybe the last 2-3 years, that they've stretched themselves very thin. And I've even heard of stories where people get into properties within 6 months, they're already struggling to make their mortgage payments. And why is that? Because they have the illusion that they have to have a house no matter what, even if it means stretching the limits of what they can afford. So whether it be draining their bank accounts and not having an emergency fund once they enter that house, people are willing to take that risk because they want to be able to achieve the American dream. In this nation, not everybody is meant to be a homeowner. So we have to be very careful and make sure that we prepare financially. Just because you have $20,000 in the bank doesn't give you the right to go and buy a house and empty your emergency fund to get into that home. Because once you're in there, you're going to find that there's going to be more hidden expenses. Plus, we live in a country right now that is ravaged by wildfires, hurricanes, tornadoes, and other natural disasters that can cause insurance rates to go up dramatically to the point where there's a lot of people right now in the United States that have no mortgage payment and are still struggling to make ends meet. If you go ahead and don't pay attention to the things surrounding you that make the most sense, you could run into a situation where you will be asset rich and cash poor. That's not where you want to be at. You want to be in a situation where you have breathing room, where you have money that you can save every month. That if you want to go ahead and give a donation or two, you have the ability to do that. And you want to make sure that you save enough to be able to retire at one point. Because when you are no longer working, you still need to have enough money to be able to sustain the maintenance on the property taxes, and the insurance. So not everybody's foreclosure process will look exactly the same. Everybody lives different situations, especially because in the United States, everything is so different across state lines. So remember, the earlier you're able to take action, the better results you have to be able to avoid the foreclosure process. Thank you for watching my video today. I will continue to provide more content that I think is beneficial to everybody out there and that will make you a better person. Make sure to subscribe and continue to watch other videos of mine that I think have very important information that should be able to help other viewers out there. I'll go ahead and I'll leave this video here. We'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.